Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of AndrewsFootball.com. Welcome to Pick 5 in my 2020 NFL mock draft. I apologize I didn't get this video out yesterday. I ate something that disagreed with me. No, I did not catch the coronavirus. But before I go any further, I want to give a special shout out to the Luke G field review. And Luke G, I've been on his show twice. And one thing I got to say about Luke G is that last year we did a show about the draft. He said back in February the Lions were going to take TJ Hockenson. So if you're a Lions fan, he does some live streams during the week. I don't get involved as much as I'd like to, but he's a great guy. So definitely, by the way, I'm putting the link to his show down below. Funky Nuts also put in a bunch of great comments on my third video with his opinions. And that's the whole point of this a series of videos, is that I want to generate discussion. I'm giving you a video of what I think is going to happen in the mock draft. I want to know what you think with this trade. That's the whole point. I want to know what I'm making a video on what I'm going to say. I want to know what you want to say. Is the trade value too high? Is the trade value too low? What do you think? So listen, if you're new to my channel and you haven't done it already, there's a button right around here. It says subscribe. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now let's talk about the Dolphins and recap the trade first. In my mock, I have the Dolphins. If you haven't watched my other video, I have the Dolphins trading the 5th pick and their highest second round pick, the 39th pick in the draft, plus Josh Rosen to number 3. And the reason why I think this is a really good trade for the Detroit Lions is that, let's look 3 years ago when a team traded back into the top 5 to get a quarterback. This was in 2017 between the San Francisco 49ers and the Chicago Bears. Chicago traded the 3rd pick in the draft, the 67th pick in the draft, and the 111th pick, and a future 3rd round pick in 2018 to trade up to get the number 2. So if you're using the draft chart, which I'm going to put a link to that below also, the numbers are 2,200, 2,200, and then that's the value for pick number 3. And then pick number 67 has a point value of 255. And then the 4th round pick, pick 111, has a value of 72. So if you add those numbers up together, you get 2,527, and the second pick's worth 2,600. So that next year's 3rd round pick comes up with the remaining 73. And how they figured that out, if you're not familiar, is that a next year's pick is worth one round below. For example, if you have a number 1 pick, that's worth 2nd round points. If you're trading a next year, for example, a 2021 2nd round pick, you're getting 3rd round points. That the pick value is 73 points. That's exactly what the pick value is. Pick number 111 has 72 points. Well, there's 73 points, so 72, 73. So what they did is that 3rd round pick is worth 4th round points. Now, I'm estimating Josh Rosen's value somewhere between a high 4th and maybe a low 3rd. So I have Miami overpaying for this draft pick because they're going to give Detroit 5 and 39, and that value is 2210, which is just 10 points more than 2200. But they're going to throw in Josh Rosen, and if you're Detroit Lions, you got to love this because this fills a big need that you have, plus it saves you a draft pick, which you're going to need. Why is Miami going to overpay for this pick, you may be asking? Well, the reason why is that in the NFL, when there's smoke, there's usually fire. And when teams fall in love with a player, they'll do what it takes to get them. And you really can't overpay for getting a player that you fall in love with. That's an old draft saying. So here's how I see this happening. I think Miami's going to call Washington, but they're not going to be able to get a trade done. So they're going to call Detroit, and I think that they're going to overpay. Now, keep in mind, this is a mock draft. I mean, is there a possibility that Miami gives up 5 and 26? Yeah, absolutely. There's a possibility. But if they do, Detroit's going to have to give something back. Do they want to give up a 2021 second or a 2021 third? And that's a possibility. But in my mock draft, I think that Miami's going to pony up and they're going to overpay and give up the 5th, the 39th, and Rosen. And the reason why is that when there's smoke, there's fire. So I do have Miami overpaying for Tua. I kind of wanted to recap that. Now, what do the Lions do at pick number 5? Yesterday, the Lions released Rick Wagner. He was their starting right tackle. So when I first did this mock draft, I didn't consider tackle a possibility. Now it's a huge possibility because there's several tackles that are really capable of going at a top 5 pick right here, especially right tackle where you had Jedrick Wells and Tristan Wirfs available, and both these guys are plug and play players. Now I'm ruling out Becton and Thomas because they're left tackles. The Wells and Wirfs played on the right side. They would be immediate starters on the right side. So I think both those players would be great fits now for Detroit. When I first started doing my mock, I didn't have them into consideration. I have Wells rated higher. He's my number 1 tackle, so I think putting him on the right side would be a great move for Detroit. But you could go either Wells or Wirfs here, and you're basically hitting a home run because you do have to fill that void, whether you want to do it through the draft or free agency. Free agency may be too expensive. You may be better off getting a guy who would be, in both these guys, I think would be Pro Bowl starters on the right side almost immediately. So I think that right tackle is a strong consideration if you're trading back down to 5. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm ruling out Okudah because I don't think that you can have a rookie corner come in to a Matt Patricia defense right away. I think that's a bad move. Could it happen? Yes, of course. He's easily the number 1 corner. The potential sky high. But when you play in this scheme, corner in college and corner in a Matt Patricia scheme is so different. It's so night and day. So I'm taking Okudah really out of consideration. So on the defensive side of the ball, I think you have Isaiah Simmons, who it was a lot of fun, a super athletic player. I know Lions fans are really wanting Simmons to be on board, play a pseudo safety linebacker type of role. And could he do it? Sure. But the one thing I have against Simmons is I think Simmons is a perfect 4-3 middle linebacker or possibly outside linebacker. I don't really see him as a safety, but can he play it? Sure. The knock is that he's not a plug-and-play guy. You can't just put him on the field and say, okay, go. This is a guy that, if this was Patricia's first year in Detroit, I think that they could take Simmons. Being that you're in year 3 and there's a good chance you're probably the number 1 coach is on hot seat could be Matt Patricia. So I'm leaning against Simmons, even though he would be a lot of fun. I think you need more of a plug-and-play player at number 5. And then you also have Derek Brown. Now, this is interesting because let's say Miami trades to 2 and Chase Young and Derek Brown are available. Derek Brown's actually a much better fit than Chase Young is. When if both these guys are available at 3, I think there's a possibility Detroit may go ahead and take Derek Brown over Chase Young. How crazy is that the number 1 player in the draft goes all the way down to 4? That could happen. So just kind of to recap of what I see happening is I do see Detroit trading with Miami. I see Detroit getting an extra pick, going to number 5. And I think that there's a strong consideration that they take a right tackle, either Jedrick Wells or Tristan Wirfs, whichever one you like better. I think both would be Pro Bowl caliber players on the right side day 1. I like Wells better than Wirfs. That's just me. On the defensive side, I'm taking Okudah out. I think that you have the super athletic Isaiah Simmons, and then you have Derek Brown, who I think is a perfect fit, a plug-and-play guy. And here's the thing, with Simmons, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? It's risky if you draft him because he doesn't have a position, and he is kind of a project. So at the end of the day, the Lions have to get immediately better. They have to improve immediately. They need a plug-and-play guy, and the best way to fill a hole on defense, to overhaul a defensive team, is to start up front. So with the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, I have the Lions selecting Derek Brown, defensive lineman out of Auburn. Now, this is my mock draft, but I want to know what you think, all right? Does Detroit even trade the 3rd pick overall? And if not, who do they pick at 3? Does Detroit go offensive line instead, which is a really strong possibility, especially now? Do they like Simmons? How high do they have Simmons ranked? Do they want to trade down and take Simmons at 5? Definite possibility. But this is my opinion. I want to know what yours is. So tomorrow, the Giants are back on the clock. I'll see you then.